Hello there, I'm Robert McKay, Whiskey for Beginners, and this is another episode of Sippin' and Talkin'. And I'm not necessarily uploading these things in the order that I record them. Right now it is 12:21 on Monday morning here in Albuquerque. The date, I don't know. I think the 21st. Anyway, Monday. When I'll upload it, I don't know, but Saturday night, I commenced to get terrible sinus drainage. Most of the day today, I had a sinus headache that felt like it was going to blow my skull apart. And you can hear the effect that it's had on my voice. But because I'm uploading these in whatever order, you may, as you watch videos in the order I upload them, hear my voice go, okay, pretty good, and because of that sinus thing, I'm probably going to resort to the handkerchief a fair amount. For tonight's, this week's, this episode of Sippin' and Talkin', I have a bottle here that weighs 43 tons. I'm serious. I thought that the Garrison Brothers, what did I have? Garrison Brothers small batch was a heavy bottle. This thing, I'm serious. Now, granted, I am not Mr. Strongman of the Year, but when I grab it, I have to make sure I have hold of it before I lift. It weighs a ton. But this is Frey Ranch straight bourbon whiskey. How aged is it? Well, I'm not seeing an age statement. Doesn't mean there isn't one, just means I don't see it. They call it straight bourbon whiskey, and by law, if it's straight bourbon whiskey and it does not have an age statement, it's at least 4 years old. So we know this is at least a 4-year-old whiskey. And this is one of the distillers who puts information on the label that a lot of us whiskey drinkers want to know. It gives us the proof, the size, the batch. Grown, distilled, matured, and bottled by Frey Ranch, Fallon, Nevada. Frey Ranch is a ranch, a farm actually, family farm. The Frey family runs it, owns it. And back, I don't remember, 2016 maybe, I'm not sure, they started making liquor, and their whiskey has gotten some good reviews. It's also gotten some bad reviews, and very seldom will you find a whiskey that doesn't get at least one bad review, because everybody's palate is different. But these people, they grow their own grain, they process their own grain, they mash in on the property, they distill on the property. It's all their work. They even have the mash bill right here on the label. Let me see, I don't know, where is it? Right there. I don't know that you'll be able to read it. It looks like it's focusing on me, maybe if I move my face behind the bottle. But it's 66.6 yellow dent corn, 10% winter wheat, 11.4% winter rye, and 12% two-row barley, which they sprout themselves. So it's a 4-grain bourbon, and they're not real common, but my favorite whiskey in all the world is a 4-grain bourbon, except they use Texas grain, and being in Fallon, Nevada, using their own grain. Of course, this is Nevada grain. And as a side note, you can always tell somebody who's never lived in the West because, well, a lot of times you can tell because they'll call it Nevada. It's Nevada. And it's not Oregon, it's Oregon. But anyways, these are, I'm not going to jump on them too much because in Texas, we have a town that's spelled M-E-X-I-A. But you pronounce it Mexia. A Glencairn. Let me move that aside. Man, this bottle weighs a ton. The cork made hardly any sound, but this thing's pretty solid. And it has the Frey Ranch logo on there. But this cork, you could brain somebody with it. It's a heavy cork. Every time I pick it up, I feel it. And while I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm not a 98-pound weakling. I got a little bit more of that than I intended. I drink left-handed. I'm like Aaron on Stuff and Whiskey. Let me kick myself over a bit. Maybe if I turn the camera just a tad bit. I'm going to have to just fake it. Anyways, I'm like Aaron on Stuff and Whiskey. She has to hold the glass in her right hand. I have to hold it in my left. I am so left-handed that if I try to drink right-handed, it don't work. And by the way, I've noticed watching my videos, it looks like I'm staring off that way when I'm actually sitting here looking at the screen, but I guess I'm too erect, so I'm going to try to lean forward a bit and not look like I'm talking to the wall. Loretta Lynn had a song, Might As Well Be Talking to the Wall, about the impossibility of getting through to some people. On the other side of that, these people who's so dumb they would argue with a fence post and lose the argument. Frey Ranch Bourbon. This is my second glass. I got this on the 15th, so about a week ago, just shy, I believe, if I'm remembering the date right. And the first glass I liked, but it didn't impress me much. The bottle does. You can pick that up and get your exercise. But the whiskey was good, as I say, but that's all it was. This bottle cost $48.89, so 49 bucks. And, you know, for some people that's not a bunch of money, but for me, while I can now afford that kind of thing, usually, I spent a long time, well, I've been drinking whiskey not quite 4 years, and for about 3 of those, 40 bucks was my limit, except in very unusual situations. And so when I pay for whiskey, I want to get something commensurate with the price. I'm going to have to take more pills before I go to bed. I'm in much better shape than I was this time last night, but the allergies are still there. We'll see how my sniffer does. Alcohol in the right nostril, and I've mentioned here and there on the channel that my right nostril is only good for detecting alcohol. Okay, I'm getting what I have to describe as a warm note. I've been trying to figure out what is it that makes it seem warm to me for years now, because I get it from Balcones whiskey as a regular thing. I would say maybe it's the wheat in a 4-grain bourbon, but I get it from Balcones corn whiskey, which is 100% roasted Texas blue corn, and I get it from their lineage barley whiskey, which is 100% sprouted barley. So it's not the wheat in a 4-grain bourbon. But something here gives me that warm note that I can't quantify beyond that. And what's the proof on this? It's only 90 proof, but this allergy siege has apparently really sensitized my right nostril because I'm having to be more careful than usual. Fresh apples, I got that note on the first glass, and it hasn't dissipated at all on the nose. And in a week, you expect some opening up, but when that kind of a note remains there, remains just as strong, it's a good thing. Warm note, fresh apples, like as if you just cut into an apple and, you know, cut it into slices. That's what it smells like. And I'm not getting anything else. I believe I got more on the first glass, but as I say, my sniffer is dealing with allergies, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not doing a review of it. This is sipping and talking, not a review. Right off, there's plenty of cinnamon. Then brown sugar comes in. And because my sniffer is off, I'm swirling my Coke habit. Because my sniffer is off because of the allergies, my taster has not been working too right tonight. My previous bottles, what did I have? I can't remember what my first bottle was. But the second was Rebel 100, which I like, and it was good, but it didn't taste quite right. But that's how it goes drinking whiskey. I've said earlier in this video, and I've said in other videos, that everybody's palate is different. And I kind of want to expatiate on that a bit. Every person has a unique DNA profile. By now we know that. And that means that all our characteristics are different. You know, if you're an identical twin, you know, obviously there's the DNA. But just small changes in DNA can have big changes in other things. Some people have a palate that is very sensitive to sulfur compounds. And so if there's the least bit of sulfur in the whiskey, and copper will take that out, but maybe it won't get all of it. If there's the least bit of sulfur in a whiskey, they can taste it. There are some people who, when they taste cilantro, to them it tastes like soap. And it's nothing they can do anything about. It's just that's how their genetics are. That's how their palate is. And so one person sniffing on this Frey ranch might not get those fresh apples. He might get something else. There's a lot of people get a nutty note from Jim Beam whiskey. I almost never do. There's a lot of people get what they describe as Flintstones vitamins from George Dickel whiskey. I wished I got that. I always liked Flintstones vitamins, but I get definite nuttiness from their juice. So everybody's palate is different. I got some oak that time coming in. Whew. Scorched the tip of my tongue that time for some reason. After I swallowed. but I got some oak coming in along with the cinnamon and the brown sugar on that sip. Tonight, I have to say it's not as good as the first glass, but again, my palate tonight is not operating on all one cylinder. It's operating on maybe 1/8 of a cylinder. Other people have full bore 12-cylinder big palates, and I don't, even on a good day. But again, every palate's different. So if someone tells you X whiskey is good, if somebody tells you Frey Ranch bourbon is good, all right, how do you know whether you will agree with him when you taste it? Well, if you can go ahead and taste it from his bottle, that'll be a good deal. But what does he like and dislike? If he dislikes Wild Turkey 101 and loves, oh, what's something different from that? And loves Four Roses 80 proof, but you don't particularly care for Four Roses 80 proof and you love Wild Turkey 101, then you probably should not depend on his recommendation because your palates are different. Now, the more you know of his likes and dislikes, the more you can judge whether you will like or dislike something he recommends or something he discommends. Is that a word, discommend? I don't know. I really don't. And I have a pretty good vocabulary. But if that word doesn't exist, it should. The opposite of recommend. You know, you might like what he doesn't, and you might dislike what he lacks. Now, if you know his palate, if it generally agrees with yours and he recommends the Frey Ranch, then yes, go for it. I bought this because different people whose palates generally agree with mine have recommended it. As I say, some reviewers don't like it. And that's how it always will be. There's always going to be people who don't like something I like. Always going to be people who like something I don't like. And so it is with you. There are always going to be people who like something you don't like. And there are always going to be people who don't like something you do like. And so 2 points on that. First, don't try to ram your palate down somebody else's throat. Just because you think something is crap doesn't give you the right to yell at somebody else because he likes it. He doesn't think it's crap. He likes it. And it may be that something you like, he thinks is crap. Everybody's palate is different, and you're not the judge of others' palates, just as they are not the judge of your palate. I said 2 things. What's the other thing? It's flown right out of my mind. Oh, it come back to me. Drink what you like. We live in a society where suddenly it becomes fashionable to cut your nose off with a garden rake. Everybody will go and do it without thinking. Oh, everybody's doing it. When when I was a kid, my parents would ask me, I'd say, everybody else is doing it. If everybody else was jumping off a bridge, would you do it? Well, that was a caution to me. No, I wouldn't do it. So why should I do anything else just because everybody else is doing it? Everybody else has a beard or a goatee. I don't like a beard or a goatee. I don't care what everybody else is doing. I like a mustache. I got a mustache. Everybody else, including people older than I am, who one would have thought had formed their preferences in clothes in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, dress like they're trying to imitate some cholo from down on Central, like they want to be gangbangers. And of course, it looks utterly phony. Got people, old people, getting tattoos. Why? Because everybody else is doing it. They didn't want a tattoo in 1973. Thought never occurred to them. They didn't, a tattoo wasn't something they wanted. All of a sudden, everybody else has a tattoo. Oh, I got to have a tattoo. Don't be that way. Don't be that way in anything. Certainly don't be that way with whiskey. Drink what you like. Rex Williams and Daniel Whittington, when they were still together on the Whiskey Tribe and the Whiskey Vault channels, used to say, if you like it, or no, they used to say, the best whiskey is the whiskey you like, the way you like to drink it. And Mike Honcho in the whiskey group on MeWe said way back, I think it was in October of 2021, when I was just getting started, he said, if you like it, it's good whiskey. If you don't like Frey Ranch, don't drink it, no matter what anybody says. If you do like Frey Ranch, drink it, no matter what anybody says. If you want to dress Western, no matter what anybody says. If you don't want to shave your head, don't shave your head. If you want to grow your hair long the way they did in the 60s and 70s instead of pulling it back in a ponytail because you don't really like it, then do that. If you don't like long hair, don't grow it long. Do your thing. It's about time somebody did in this world. Besides me, I'm getting lonely out here. And on that note, whiskey ain't lonely. But then whiskey's just distilled grain, right? A thing can't get lonely. And I'm not lonely because I love my wife. So, extraneous comments have come and gone. Here's mud in your eye.